lounge.
So this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? So different to the Supreme Court in Japan.
Listen, Ocarina of Time is the GOAT. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant.
Majora's Mask is the goater.
The GOATer. The GOATer. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh yes, what?
Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again.
I know, but I can't help it.
Clack. Oh, there's my boy.
There's Santa!
Oh, he looks like a playing card.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. It's gonna kill my voice, but...
Oh, yeah.
We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Hey there, Shady. Yeah, Dracula's the prosecutor.
Like Shady would definitely play a D&D character named Magnus McGilded.
Who wouldn't? I now call upon the counsels of the prosecution and the defense to declare their willingness to proceed. Here we go.
Oh God, I'm on. So vampire, British, breathy, right?
I mean, he's not a vampire, but he kind of has a vibe.
Yeah.
As you can see with the cape.
The prosecution is fully prepared.
It's good.
We'll work on it.
Must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld. Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English?
Yikes.
Huh? Oh yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready, and I couldn't be further from ready if I tried.
Those eyes please me, Nipponese.
Also, interestingly enough...
Wait.
What?
Give me a second. Those eyes pleased me, Nipponese.
Okay, I was going to say, interestingly enough, I did look up, and Nipponese is an outdated term for Japanese people.
Yeah, because Nippon.
Well, yeah, but I thought it was, like, offensive, he was saying.
Well, in Japanese, they would call themselves Nipponjin, like from Japan.
Yeah.
Because Japan in Japanese is still Nippon.
Yeah, I figure.
They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb.
Ugh, a cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes.
You like that, Dragon? You like that?
And I'm not just speaking as Runosuke. No, Mr. McGild. Yes, my lord. You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You can be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner?
Rude.
As I've always said, my lord, it is a grand thing to give opportunities to the young. Even if the fellow is a student from a little island in the Far East. Is it not the British way to ignore the dangers of yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance? I'd like to think that acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. Listen to McGilded. The fine gentleman in London.
What a fine gentleman in London has.
Did you hear he donated £5,000 to... I can't read that.
Mother, please may we go and play in McGilden's park? It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilden.
That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with words. Maybe you should just do all the rabble sounds, because of the delay it makes it hard for us to go back and forth.
Rabble, rabble, rabble. You can do the rabble if you want. It's up to you.
No, I don't care. I think just one of us needs to stick with it.
I'll do the rabble. I volunteer as rabble.
I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. Eloquently put, Mr. McGelded, and most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you
I want to take a nap on his beard.
that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed? Yes, my lord. If the task is to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready.
At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree.
Ha! Any criminals here will soon be wishing they never set eyes on me. I feel chill.
Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'm just getting on with my knitting. Just must finish these mitts for my grandson.
Mr. Naruhodo, these people are...
The jury, yes. That's something we don't have in Japan yet.
That's right. I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinion of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of view.
How exactly do the jurors give their verdict?
That I don't know, but I'm sure it'll become clear as the trial progresses.
Yes. Prosecutor Von Zeeks.
My lord.
It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounced your fame.
I'm known as the Reaper of the Valley, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years has passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity.
So, what brings you back? Is there some change in circumstances from which the court should be aware?
I leave that to your imagination, my lord.
So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback?
Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruhodo.
As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please.
Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity.
We must be the only ones in here who aren't aware.
The incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks known in the community as Thrice Fired Mason.
Sorry? Thrice? He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible.
Oh, tragic. The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time. A dagger had been thrust into the victim's abdomen. Is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer in Scotland Yard.
Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence. Okay. Okay.
And one further item of evidence.
Should we look at what we got?
Yeah. For some reason, I was about to keep speaking in that tone. I was like, "Whoa, slow down."
That's you now.
I know this is me. I speak like this now. His name is Thrice-Fied Mason. He's the same age. That's what I'm saying. Male Strongheart aged really well because
No,
this
but
guy's the same age.
no, he was 52. This guy's 54.
Oh, 2 years difference.
Those are the 2 years that all your aging happens.
Just in 2 years, you instantly.
It's the equivalent of like from 12 to 14. This is second puberty.
Like you need to be. You're strong if you're a brick maker. Like you're not a frail old man. So the fact that male Strongheart looks as beefy as that guy.
They're also from different. They're also from different classes. Like they have different diets, different lifestyles.
Oh God. Either way. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife whilst journeying on the omnibus, died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from the trauma. Sure. Why would Magnus McGilded be in an omnibus? He's rich. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well.
And these are? Good lord, is that blood
Yes, it's
council? What?
That's not too big. It's a wig.
You thought it was his real hair?
I didn't know. Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested.
What? Mr. McGilded gloves had blood on them?
Baroque von Zeeks reminds me of Edelgard's assistant.
Hubert.
Lover.
Herbert? Hubert. Yeah.
It's Hubert, yeah.
It's Hubert.
I forgot his name, but it's Hubert.
I don't know why I doubted myself for a second.
Herbert. Tremble in fear as Herbert arrives.
Oh yeah, like Hubert sounds so much more intimidating.
I think Herbert is just so much more sillier, though.
Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well. A bloodstain on the right glove.
Let's look at the gloves.
How did I get into this?
It's actually tomato sauce.
This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London.
But nothing will come grumbling now.
No, by the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed?
Yes, I believe so. He was toying with a coin with his right hand a little earlier. Because you only
pity.
fidget with your dominant hand.
If only he'd been left-handed.
I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really.
I don't know. I don't think I can flip a coin in my left hand, especially to somebody.
And hit somebody in the eye. You're right. You're right.
I won't even get any air with it with my left hand.
Yeah.
It would just kind of tumble to the ground pathetically, so...
Can we look inside the gloves?
I mean, yeah, but...
I wasn't sure. I wouldn't be surprised.
If inside there was the real killer!
The real killer! It's Herlock Sholmes.
Herlock Sholmes would somehow be in there, yeah.
He would be in there.
I'm backed into a corner before I even started.
Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time.
Only 2?
Obviously. Just obviously. Obviously.
Wow, that word's really messy.
Every time I hear obviously after a question, I just think that's hard stuff, and they're just like being real sassy, and I can't stop laughing. I can't say that word anymore. One of the passengers was the deceased brick maker, Mr. Mason.
Making bris.
He's making bris now. The other. Ooh. was the accused, Magnum McGilded.
Look at that point.
Look at that
That's
point.
that's a point. 3 of the jurors are shocked. Well, rather damning circumstances to say the least. Defendant, what say you? Well, of course, I have no recollection of such a thing.
Yikes.
Mr. McGilded. To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it. Are you claiming to have been asleep?
That falls asleep on car rides.
'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Lilting, so it is, and when I opened my eyes again, 'twas a desperate sight before me. A body of a man I'd never laid eyes on before in me life. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a bleeding fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. So the blood got into the gloves then after the man had been killed.
Unfortunately, unfortunate that the statement of the drivers is only the beginning.
What? That's not all of it?
There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed. Oh,
Now the rest are shocked.
The rest of the jury are shocked.
Order! Order! Order!
Ordar!
Oh, order!
Ordadar! For all my Game of Thrones heads out there. I'm sorry. Why am I voicing such an evil character? I'm too goofy for this. When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage.
I mean, you voiced the killer in the previous case, so you've been voicing evil characters.
I know.
In the previous 2 cases.
Just the dissonance and just pitches is like really goofing me up. And there were witnesses to the crime. Like, I'm gonna have like dissociative identity disorder after streaming with this game. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused.
Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from the witnesses first of all.
I know Ace Attorney game. Your wish is my command. Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once. Ace Attorney games generally have kooky characters.
Okay, so the banker or the hatter, which do you want?
Who is the banker?
The middle one. Hatter was one on the right.
Witnesses, your names and occupations. So I can voice... I want to voice the hatter, I guess. The younger one of the two.
Okay. My name is... Well, everyone calls me Beppo.
Beppo?
I drive an omnibus on the East End.
I missed the opportunity to voice Beppo?
No, you weren't going to voice Beppo.
Oh, so it's either the guy
Yeah.
right now with his hat.
The guy here or the guy whose hat's falling? Which one?
Oh, this guy here. Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city.
My name's First. Lady First. I am... make
no.
hats for gents.
Lady first.
So, these names, have any...
Lady first.
I don't think there's anything to say about Lady First. That one,
Lady First. Yeah, Lady First is a gentleman, and I love him. 10 out of 10, wholesome. Even
Okay.
if he's the killer, I stand.
Bruce Fairplay?
His name is Bruce. Fair play. He looks like a boxer. So Bruce, and then fair play. Maybe that.
Bruce, actually, there's no meaning behind his first name.
I
But
thought it was like a bruise.
a fair play is a mystery story where the audience has all the clues from the start, which Ace Attorney is, by definition, not a fair play.
Oh, so it's like the murder of Roger Ackroyd is a fair play.
Yeah, I think most Sherlock Holmes stories are fair plays.
Sherlock Holmes.
No, it's copyrighted.
No.
But yeah,
History.
yeah, it's a joke because Ace Attorney games are not fair plays.
Oh, fair
But
enough.
and
I wish they
Beppo
were. That would have made this game a lot more funnier.
and Beppo.
Beppo, I love Beppo. I want him to be my no. I want him to be my Italian grandfather.
But
and I don't care what his name stands for. I love him.
Actually, it's just straight up from a Sherlock Holmes story.
Oh, Beppo.
It's just another one of those names.
Beppo's so cute. Oh, I love him.
Let's.
I want to see how you voice him. Go ahead.
No, you do it.
Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in an omnibus and witnessed the aforementioned incident.
You've gotten quieter. I don't know if there's a reason.
I think it's just the range. It's a lot harder for me to kind of
Fair.
like hit that gravel
That's fair.
without just like my pep coming out. Over time, over the games, I'm gonna get better at it.
Over time, you'll get edgier and less
just
serious.
real edgy.
By the time you
Start
finish this game,
screaming.
you won't even take jokes.
Yeah,
It'll just change you.
humor is above and beneath me at the same time.
You'll just be like, I've seen things.
Is that correct?
It looks like a vampire edger. Yes, sir.
Beppo? Quite right.
Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Oh, first, I love them both. Bruce Fairplay, he's okay.
Very
I
well,
only
then.
like okay, people.
Let's proceed to formal testimonies, please. Each one of you will tell the court precisely what you saw. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remembered it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then, out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too.
It's too much.
Unambiguous testimony, I must say.
I love them. Exactly, my lord. And then I have to voice this dude after having an emotional breakdown every time I see these characters. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes.
I'd like to ask you a question, if I may. Yes, counsel. Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
Why not?
Well, if the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it?
As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes.
Well, in that case, how could these two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage.
Ooh. Oh. Ladies first. How quaint. I'd read that civilizations in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses?
Huh?
Tell me, my Nepalese friend, Have you ever traveled in an omnibus?
Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning.
No matter. I've arranged for all of us to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is.
What do you mean? The actual scene? How?
A, a carriage is designed to be moved after all. Presumably you understand that much.
Yes.
The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building.
Here? What? The entire carriage?
Bailiff! Bring forth the stricken omnibus! Bring forth! I'm exclaiming!
So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing.
As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. Ooh. 4 passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin, another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views in the city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there's a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above.
Ah, skylight. Oh!
The penny drops at last, I see.
Did they have the phrase "the penny drops" when, like... Did they have pennies?
I don't know. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats of this omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight.
Ugh, that makes perfect sense.
I thought there was nobody in the carriage but those 2, but they were wrong.
They didn't say they were in it, they were on it.
Ah, God, pedantics.
Well, Counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom.
In all these years inside the bench, I haven't quite seen this happen very often. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish.
Submitting the crime scene as evidence.
The entire... Just put it in your pocket. Just put it in your pocket.
Very well, I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
There's something so chaotic about an omnibus being a piece of evidence.
I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence. Do you want to examine it?
Oh my god.
Do you want to examine it now? Or?
Please. Can we please just, like, everybody's waiting for us. I want to get inside it. I want to just sit in it for a while. It's so funny to me. Why?
You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure.
Oh god. I forgot how to voice her.
You're gonna have to go back and forth between the 2 a lot, so...
I know! This is bad.
Yeah. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin.
Just pure chaos. I'm out of water.
So I'm sure the witnesses have been able to see quite clearly.
That's not good for us. That can't examine the sign. Wait,
The
what's
chairs.
that? Ah.
So this is the roof deck of an omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here.
So people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them. And they have to pay money to do so.
Brr, I can't imagine how cold it must feel.
That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as punishment?
Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late.
What does that even mean?
Exactly what it sounds like.
That's the price you pay.
There!
Phoenix Wright Omnibus?
Phoenix Wright Omnibus! Reference!
Right. This is like a temporal paradox.
He was named after the omnibus, obviously.
Just the Naruhodo clan was like, oh, I love this omnibus so much. I'm just gonna change our last name to match this one omnibus that was a case evidence.
Excuse me, Cesaro.
Chad.
Cesaro!
I swear.
Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we?
I'm not gonna let this go.
The scene of the murder. It's horrible.
You may, but I will not. Just
You
be
may
aware.
university?
Okay, that's it. Thank you guys. Have a good night. This was
No.
fun. Bye.
That's blood that's soaked into the seat. The victims, obviously. Cesaro, you're still on.
Yes, and that sea would be clearly visible from the roof deck.
Would you really stab someone in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder?
Fine, I'll stay.
Well, it was after dark.
And there was a lamp.
And there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight.
Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack.
I will leave for like 3 seconds to turn the light on in the room, though. Give me a sec.
Okay. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. I'll wait for Cesaro to really quickly take care of things. Oh, it looks like she's back. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition.
Oh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. I'm simply fizzing with excitement at the Crystal Tower.
Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to... It's the same thing on the other side, dang it!
Oh, the Crystal Tower? I'm just fizzing with excitement.
The seat looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it. And only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really.
Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed with such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here.
A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they?
Such a feminist, Ryunosuke.
The seat has a handle, it seems.
Oh. Oh la la, what's in there?
This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running.
Feeding tubs, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems.
There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to store their luggage, that's for sure.
Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway.
Okay.
Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary.
I could help myself a lot by giving the omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Well, maybe we should wait a few lines.
Yeah,
Let us-
3 seconds.
Let us continue with proceedings, then. Your cross-examination, counsel.
Pray don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights.
Alright, my first cross-examination at British court.
Slap,
Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus.
slap, slap. case is going to be the end of me.
It was the lit omnibus that evening, so I had... Oh, I don't need to read this again. Press, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Oh, yes, sir. That's right. Yes, it was so cold. It was freezing, in fact.
Oh, I forgot that, like, that whole mechanic of, like, I wonder that weird thing where, like, somebody else might have, like, a thing to say in the middle of the thing.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Like, I'm like, what are those 3 dots on top of Beppo's name?
And you have 4 and you have had 4... I can't read the sentence.
Lord Wufakfak? What was that name from that game? I forget. Something.
Lord Wufakfak. You're talking about Banjo-Tooie, right?
Yeah, it's something. I just remember you bringing it up one time when we were living together. Me, like, literally ceasing to exist because I thought it was the funniest name in the universe.
And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same parts of the bus, of course, though. No.
Beppo's so cold. Just get him a blanket.
There were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example. A blanket? It's 90 degrees in the courtroom. He's just always cold. You're quite right, it's that, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none. I love it that even his breath is like...
That's what I'm saying. His breath is like,
he's just
like forming out of his face.
It's because his body temperature is like negative 20 Celsius.
It just still needs a blanket.
So nobody fled the scene of the crime then. They're just holding the cold in.
I was gonna say, yeah, if the cold is coming from inside the house, then definitely.
I have to say, the boss insists on it running, he does, every evening, that last bus of the day. But I do wonder if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say.
Just deceased. There's only 2 moods to Beppo, cold and deceased.
Deceased. What do you mean by that? Well, with it being cold and everything, only making 20 pence on the run, you see.
20 pence?
I spent that much at the pub on the way home, just trying to stay warm again.
That's like 1/36th of a guinea. I don't know what the conversion.
And you saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage.
That's right. And when you sit up on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. Just lifts up Ryunosuke like a baby. See, look. There's a lamp on inside, so I had a pretty good view. Oh yeah, that is very Sholmes. I forget what voice I gave him. There's too many voices.
It's okay. Eventually, all English people sound the same.
Right. The 2 of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. That's still Sholmes. I've given up.
Sound more banker-like. Think of like accounts and like percentages.
Money. Oh,
no, he's just Mr. Krabs.
Money. Yes, I like money. But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind. Oh, that's what it was. But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded.
How can you be so sure?
Well, how can I put it politely? Mr. Gilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I could have been mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget that when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded. There's no room for doubt here. Somebody could throw a knife through the sunroof.
I really wish there was.
Super simple to throw. Then out of the blue, the accused just
No. Wrong button. Stop it.
Listen, ladies first can always be on screen. I love him.
You actually saw the exact moment it happened.
Didn't I already testify to that? or are fair, dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days?
Oh, no. I didn't mean that.
Or
This is no good. I've really got his back up. By the way, I had to look up dinkum, and Google told me it was Australian slang, and I was like, wait, is this guy Australian?
Oi! Now that's it. Now he's Australian. Too bad you did it to yourself.
Perhaps you could just tell us what the song a little... My lord!
Me lord.
Juror number 3, what's the meaning of this? My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich, never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be, every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter, anyway. That is precisely what I was about to say. As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example for my fellow jurors.
Are we going to talk about this?
What is happening here?
Okay. It's like, nobody's saying anything about what's going on? Let me see. Yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give the verdicts.
With fire?
Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago.
Yep, that's how it works in British court in the 19th century. So if these enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean...
I don't know. Let's do our very best to ensure that doesn't happen.
Shady, jeez. Ugh, now I'm even more worried than I was before. Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. This is a nightmare.
So you can change your opinion?
You can or can't? What did you say?
Are you able to change your opinion, or are those people just committed to like, oh, he's guilty now?
I mean, I think they'll cover that later, but I think it's fair to say that you can.
Okay, that's fair. No, because like that could be like a mechanic where they're like, yeah, I'm sorry, like I thought that you were guilty, so I recast my vote. Too bad.
You stabbed him, you say, and you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent next to the fellow that was stabbed. I'd been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absent-mindedly around it. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly, that huge, great knife. A great sight indeed. That didn't help me at all. The jury looks like they're even more convinced my client did it than they were before.
That appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGillard is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions. Mr. First. Mr. First.
Oh, yes.
Everyone.
Yes, sir.
It shows now. Is this the knife you saw?
Oh, good grief. Yes, that's it. That very one, sir. Is that...
Yes, Counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the heart.
Stake through the heart, and you're too late.
You give Ace Attorney Claridge's case.
I was thinking put a vampire pun in there because the stake through the heart, but...
Oh, fantastic.
There's
Fantastic.
a blade of considerable size, Counsel.
It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar.
Ugh, please, no. I mean, that's circumstantial.
At best. M for Magnus, perhaps, or McGillid, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
But there are M's everywhere. Yes, like in Mason.
Objection? This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused.
Ugh. Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, Counsel.
Murder weapon? What if it's a W? My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption. I have to stand up straight.
Probably wanna do this, right?
Yeah. Why would you do this to me? Voicing two women right after each other. They're part of this sheath, isn't it?
What do you mean? Most of what you voice are women.
This game is just again made to curse me. This is hard. You're right, Mr. Naruhodo.
You're the one that chose that want to voice the woman.
Oh my God.
Yes, sorry. I just don't really like blades.
Looks at his waist. Oh. Those don't seem to...
You're Susanoo!
Those don't seem to be the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist.
It's not a blade, that's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what that blade looks like.
Guys, oh, Great Ace Attorney is a prequel to Shaman King, confirmed.
I thought maybe like Soul Edge and Soul Calibur.
Oh, Soul Edge.
Kazuma is the original Soul Edge.
Soul Edge.
He is that sword.
Yikes.
Ugh, that looks a lot like blood.
It surely is blood. The victims.
Ugh, an Englishman's blood looks a lot like a Japanese man's blood.
Would it look different? Did you...
You might as well just not even say anything and just voice her regularly, because she's gonna say what you're gonna say.
Like, my opinions are just Susato's words. Confirmed. Did you think it wouldn't?
Sorry, it's just that we've only just arrived in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust.
Yes, I do understand. She really doesn't. It's like a chocolate. They have like Magnum bars, don't they?
Magnum bars?
Are they the chocolate bars? They are. That's a thing. I'm not trying to be funny.
An ornate letter M, undeniably Mr. Magnus McGilded's initial.
It's like an ice cream. Chat, please, like, help me out.
Susanoo, come on.
Prove my justice. It's beautifully gilded too. It must be very valuable, I should think.
Ah.
What is it?
Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything.
A W?
Yes, this is one of those, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it.
Oh no, roll credits. Wrap it up, boys. I'm afraid I don't know at all, but I'm sure of it that this is an M.
Oh, well, that idea was quickly quashed.
Yeah, the way that the swirls.
Okay, back to her.
I already read this line.
Yep. True, number 2, go on.
Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman's words should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know when we must accept hard truths.
Wait, what are you about to do?
Dispose of the rubbish.
a very stylized mechanic.
No.
Now it's just the old lady.
I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime.
What do you mean just the old lady? We have 3 people who haven't voted yet.
Oh, I'm losing track.
Also, like, what happens if they go to fling it and they just completely miss? Like,
That's why the judge doesn't have hair. Hold it.
I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion.
that's what I was thinking, Shady. Not again.
That's 4 out of 6 jury members who have proposed. That's 4 out of 6 jury members who have proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left.
We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just make this jury worse.
Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark.
I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly.
We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back.
But... Alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. I need that embroidered. Keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again.
Are we pressing again?
Beppo!
Oh, I thought that we're redoing them already.
No, this is the last one. What exactly did you say? Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Passenger, sir. It collapsed on the floor where he was.
And by the passenger, obviously you're referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
And then with the passenger had the knife in his hands, I like this.
By the other passenger, obviously you're referring to the accused, Mr. Magnum McGilded.
Shady, why do you assume that's not a wig beard?
Or a weird, as they colloquially call him.
No, big, as they call it. Then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly. What?
I got the beads.
Papa the poopy?
My
My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. Do I take it that you too?
Like clockwork.
Is
Cool name arrives.
Hey, cool name. That is all. Is the member of the London Guild of Coachmen. The idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me.
I was saying stick around a little bit so you can vouch for my voice for him. Give me pointers.
It would be right. It wouldn't be right to make a decision without hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say. No, please. Just keep an open mind. Gee up now, Silverblaze. The finish is in sight. Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir. It's copy pasta you put in a few chats. Okay, this is too unkind, sir.
Which now means that 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. Oh, but the little old lady. Madam Juror number 6. Yes, dear. What can I do for you? You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
A cool name approves.
I got the cool name seal of approval. That's all I need.
Oh, yes, I certainly have.
She's a southern dame.
Still got my hearing, you know.
Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called.
Hmm.
The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on the Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life.
He's always doing wonderful things for the city.
That's right. A man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely. Well, then, may we go to the McGilded Public Library later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know?
I don't know who that is, Shady.
What kind of man Magnus McGilded really is?
What kind of a man he is?
Yeah, I don't trust him. The philanthropist Magnum McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls.
What?
Stone the crows!
McGilded lends money at extraordinate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. I felt that. I felt that in my soul. When they default, he takes possessions of everything they own. He's a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam.
That was actually a really good one. Cool name.
Yeah, if it's anything pun related, Shad over here is gonna just eat it right.
I mean, that was a clever one. You have to admit. Inheritance.
That was pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm not a pun meister myself, but I can appreciate a good one when I see it. So, has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? You can only have money by saving it. What possible reason could this man have to make use of a public omnibus service?
You're not saying that.
The victim, a poor brickmaker, had nothing next to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it all be known that the very day Mr. Magnum was killed was the final repayment date for his debts.
Good gracious.
The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded.
I don't believe it.
If I might add something briefly.
Mr. Zato.
You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where is evidence to support your claim?
It'd be interesting. Godot, anybody? Drinking in the middle of a case? Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in a court of law.
Aha, there it is. Lord Van Zeek's hallowed chalice.
The hallowed chalice.
How can this be considered acceptable?
But I find myself in an unexpectedly good humor. It'd be real interesting to play a game as a prosecutor. Like, that'd be real...
You can, Ace Attorney Investigations.
Yeah, but like, do you actually prosecute or do you just
No.
investigate?
No, you don't. You don't prosecute, but still. You're a prosecutor.
I had heard ladies in the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
As you just listen to the defense, I am simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is a debtor's ledger, which contains details all monies loaned by the accused. You'll find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
I'm glad you enjoyed this case, Cool Name. It is a good one.
Oh. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
A marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. Ah, yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum. Should we do our usual?
What? Yeah. Let's look at it before they say that we should probably look at it. Ooh, purple, the color of royalty.
This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry.
Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside?
Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from a great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder...
Sherlock Holmes is the first on the list with like 1,000,000 guineas.
I assure you we will not find Mr. Stones' names inside.
Oh, we know, Cool Name. Let's see what we find.
Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it?
Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off.
Ah, goodness!
What is it?
Look at this! Do you see the name here?
Bruce Fairplay.
Bruce?
Should that mean something to me? It does sound strangely familiar, actually.
Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment.
Oh yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching.
It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information.
Oh no, Cool Name.
Oh no! I'm gonna also, just for the heck of it, I'm gonna provide my alternative Von Zeke's voice that I had in mind for him before you told me Breathy Vampire. But I'll do that later. And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel!
Oh no!
Still, maybe it's all for the best.
Ah, well, wait a minute. Let's just think about this a little more before...
I don't stand for nonsense.
Oh, so there we have it, folks. We lost the case.
It's a good but short
That's
trial,
it.
Cool Name. That was
Now we're
it.
just
The last
gonna go
juror's
back to
decision.
Japan. Slaps the book. Whapa!
Ah, according to the Encyclopedia of British Law, When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here.
The final verdict. It's over then.
Oh. Slaps the book. There's a footnote, though.
A footnote? Yeah, she is cute when she pulls out the book.
However, the defense...
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case.
Allow me to convey my respects for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections.
I mean, there's one.
Miss Susato, just tell me one thing.
Oh, yes?
You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defendants... What did it say next?
Oh, yes, of course. One moment.
That she put it away.
When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court procedures are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point.
Summation examination.
Objection.
Was a who's it? A summation examination. From which century has that tome you have been resurrected? Ah! Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic long forgotten, certainly no longer practiced. But it's still in the book, so it counts. So you're out of luck. Oh.
What even is it, Mr. Zada? This so-called summation examination?
Oh, one moment, and I'll read about it. You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails? Typical Nipponese. All right, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury.
To do what, exactly?
Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions. As it says here that... If successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed.
Do you just go ka-chow? Make them reverse the decisions. Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of formality with no practical benefit, really, so it rather fell out of use.
I wonder why. Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone reversal. Several.
Wow. It just mixed up all the letters.
I know, right?
Right letters, wrong order.
Dyslexia. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
A summation examination, our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat?
Sir, all right. Let's do it.
The game's just like, do you give up?
I would love to give up every single time he gives me the option to, but